Connect Church. It's so good to have you with us. This is our kitchen table segment, and I have this morning Tracey here. Good morning, Tracey. How are you doing?
Good morning, Pastor Yanni.
The reason why we are sitting beside our kitchen tables is because this is where sometimes the most important conversation takes place in a house. And a couple of weeks ago, we started with Andrea, and then Pastor Arnie, and then now Tracey. I just really want to keep the conversation going about racism, justice, and reconciliation. So, Tracey, why don't you share with us this morning?
Well, for me, it's a really amazing time. I work in equity and diversity within the school board, and it's really kind of a passion of mine. And I'm going to actually be studying the education of social justice in the fall. But something significant that not a lot of people are aware of is that the UN declared the decade of 2015 to 2025 the decade for people of African ancestry. It was a declaration that Canada adopted in 2018 that says we want to examine and work on repairing the injustices to people of African ancestry throughout the world, with the impact of slavery and then systemic racism. People of African ancestry are suffering a great deal throughout the various countries throughout the world. And this declaration says we're going to make efforts to repair those injustices. So there are efforts to diversify the workforce, clarify work equity, pay equity, health equity throughout the world. And Canada has their own reservations for each of those initiatives.
That's great, and I'm glad that they say it's going to be a decade, not just a short period of time, and that's good.
There's an expectation for accountability in terms of even at the provincial level. There's going to be measurements on, so have we diversified, for example, in education, the number of Black teachers in schools? Are we having Black students, go on to post-secondary? Are they achieving their goals? Are they graduating in equitable way? And what systemically are we doing to address some of those biases that have been perpetuating throughout the systems?
If you look ahead, or in terms of looking into the future, what do you see? What do you have in mind?
Well, I want to think of God's people. Even personally, for me, I'm having a lot of awakening and awareness and a greater closeness to God at this time. I mean, we're eating together, we're praying for protection, and as a Christian, I feel protected. I feel like we have always seen each other's humanity. And so, now it's about growing that kingdom for God, and really understanding the cruelty that happens. God doesn't like when innocent blood is shed. God doesn't like when his people are hurt.
Yeah, we are truly witnessing something significant. I mean, things we see now, people like in our lifetime, I mean, we haven't seen, and I'm sure even before, and I think that's great to be a part of.
You do ask us in this kitchen conversation, what do we want from you? And I want us to help you if you could help us to dig into those stories, the stories that are similar to some of these situations where we have no direction and we need faith, and helping us to understand the stories of, and it's not that God differentiates between the races, but there are specific stories that originate out of the Kush and out of the different tribes and groups. And I think that there was an erasure of God's people, and or even those of us with this complexion, to remove us from his grace, to make us feel like we weren't necessarily his chosen people. So help us to analyze some of those stories to see where we are actually included in God's kingdom. We are an important part of that. And then we can all grow in faith and really love each other more.
Thank you, Tracey. Good suggestions for me and for the church. I appreciate it. And I believe that should be our foundation always, the Bible. where we can see God's guidance, and that's, if we study that, from that we can move forward. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I appreciate your wisdom, and enjoy the rest of the service.
Okay, thank you. Bye.